great introduction, Jamie. I'm the energy storage manager, and I'm really excited to be discussing this year in review. I just can't believe we're going to be saying that it's 2021 soon. It feels like, wow, already diving into the new decade. So let's talk about what storage has been up to lately. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my role at Soligent. Then I want to talk about the solutions that we have had, solutions that have been tried and true for a long time, and then dive into the newest offerings that we've had for 2020 and what's on the near horizon for 2021. So this will be mostly for the upcoming couple quarters of the new year. And I'm going to be going kind of brand by brand. So if there are questions in the chat box, Jamie will see them that are kind of brand relevant. Before I shift to the next brand, we can talk about those a little bit rather than kind of systems in general. And I can, of course, discuss more general questions at the end. So my name is Madeline. It's funny to think that this photo was from earlier this year, back when we had in-person conferences, but I am the energy storage manager. I've been with Soligent for a little over a year now, and I've been involved with Solar Plus Storage since 2016 roughly. So our offering selection has definitely exploded since that time. So it's really exciting to see what sort of innovations we've had come to market over these past few years. And at Soligent, my goal really is to help educate and support installers as well as the end customer, the homeowner, the DIY, or whoever it may be, to understanding how batteries work in conjunction with solar PV. Because we've been used to the more traditional grid tie solar sale for the last 10 plus years, and then now that storage has been added to the mix, sometimes the conversation is changed a little bit, or there are more questions that are relevant to being asked. So I want to help make sure everyone understands the brand offerings that Soligent provides and how our different offerings can support your needs. So what have we had and what do we have coming? So last year in 2019, I'll talk a little bit about what we have had for a long time. So I've kind of organized this from left to right. Our first column is AC coupled solutions. Our middle column is options that we have for both AC and DC coupling, and then our right column is DC coupled solutions. So for these AC coupled solutions, AC coupled typically means that you will have a grid tie inverter that's connecting your PV to your system, and then you'll have an additional battery-based or hybrid inverter that is enabling the batteries to be added to your system. So it's a 2 inverter type of installation. And the first picture we have, this is the Sonnen Eco Links. Sonnen also has an Eco product, and those have both been around this past year. And those are AC coupled solutions. So you can add them to existing solar, or you could do a new installation with microinverters or DC optimizers or a string inverter, and then additionally add the Eco Links or the Eco product. From SMA, we have the Sunny Boy storage. This is also an AC coupled solution. So you would pair this with Sunny Boy or microinverters, DC optimizers, what have you, for your grid type portion. And then you would have this Sunny Boy storage in addition to SMA's high voltage battery pairing, which in this case is BYD. Our final AC coupled solution, and I should say that Schneider can be AC coupled to existing grid tie systems, and it can also be DC coupled using Schneider's charge controllers. And so this can enable backup self-consumption for existing systems as you see fit for our kind of mixed options. And before I get ahead of myself, this first solution is the Evervolt from Panasonic. The black model is the DC coupled model. So that means that you would be pairing that strictly with the PV. So if you need rapid shutdown, you would have module level rapid shutdown from a third-party provider, be it AP Systems or AP Smart, Tigo, or Fire Raptor from IMO. So rapid shutdown for the DC covered Evervolt, but you do not need a grid tie inverter. We also have the white Evervolt model, which is the AC coupled version. So that could be paired with any existing grid tie inverter, as long as the PV is sized properly. And I'm not going to go into a ton of sizing today, but just that the Evervolt has the black DC coupled version and the white AC coupled version. This is a picture of the Outback Skybox. Outback also has a Radian. I just included the Skybox here because the Skybox is branded and promoted as a true hybrid all-in-one inverter. So you can AC couple or DC couple the same model, which makes things really easy and flexible. You can stack up to 2 inverters. So this is a 5 kilowatt model. So you can have 5 or 10 kilowatts for your output. It really makes things kind of simple, plug and play. You don't need an additional wiring box. All of the AC and DC wiring is in this little lower portion of the inverter. So the Skybox really makes things simple. And that has been kind of a newer technology from Outback recently. Then if we shift over to our DC coupled options, we have Generac's Power Cell, which was formerly Pica. And the Power Cell is an all-in-one DC coupled solution. So Generac provides the inverter as well as the battery solution. And it's going to be a single inverter. So the PV is tied into this inverter using a string level optimizer. That's kind of what the PV link is accomplishing, so that you can get everything that you need from Generac to accomplish your installation. Magnum has been around for a really long time in the mobile and the RV space. Great for DC coupling. You can also AC couple them if you have an existing system, but I think they're pretty primary for DC coupled with charge controllers. And then last but not least, from our existing offering, this is a pre-wired option from Midnight Solar. So Midnight Solar manufactures their own breakers and charge controllers, but what they do that's novel is they'll assemble other inverters with their E-panel. So you can have lightning arresters, overcurrent protection, control systems. All of that is going to be pre-wired together. So it takes out all of the guesswork on where you need to put your different breakers, how the PV should be wired into the charge controller, into the wiring box. So they make it really simple by doing a lot of the assembly before, so that all you need to do is really hook up your grid, or if you don't have a grid, hook up a generator, hook up your batteries, hook up your PV, and then your output to the load. So I don't want to forget about Midnight Solar because they really have a lot of great solutions. So this is all what we have had, and now we're going to talk about what has been new for 2020. Okay, if we start on the top, Enphase launched their N-Power and N-Charge storage solution. So we have their batteries, which come in 3 and 10 kilowatt hours, and the smart switch, which it's kind of the grid forming device. So Enphase came out. Originally, it was for the IQ series of inverters, but now the M series is also compatible. So really, this storage solution covers the broad spectrum of microinverters to be paired with Enphase. So really top of the line solution. We know a lot of our installers are big fans of the Enphase microinverters. So kind of adding on the storage solution is really easy because it can all be under the Enlighten app. So really excited about the Enphase N-Power and N-Charge ensemble line. Then next up is the Sonnen Core. So the Sonnen Core was launched earlier in November, and it's a brand new product in addition to their existing Eco and EcoLinks product line. And the Sonnen Core is exciting because it's a lot more of a smaller profile, also an indoor installation, but it's much more affordable. So it's really accessible to many homeowners that may not have been able to afford or budget for the Eco or the Eco Links. So very excited about the Sonnen Core product, and we should have those in stock early next year. Down to the Energy Hub from SolarEdge. And the Energy Hub is really, if you want to call it, an HD wave with storage technology. So it's our battery-based hybrid inverter, DC coupled with our optimizers, kind of sticking to the SolarEdge MO with DC optimization. Now with the Energy Hub, we're adding the backup interface piece of equipment. So originally we had the autoformer, but now we're moving towards the backup interface, which enables up to 3 inverters. So we have a bigger scalability in terms of power output from SolarEdge by stacking 3 inverters on this Energy Hub. So really big like leaps and bounds of innovation from SolarEdge and their ability to scale their inverters. So excited about the Energy Hub plus backup interface. Next is, this is the SimpliPhi Amplify battery. And the Amplify is exciting. So the Amplify, I can talk about Solar and Amplify together because they are working hand in hand. The Amplify battery has integrated communications exclusively at this time with the Solar inverter. So when you plug in your Amplify battery into the Solar inverter, all of the set points are pre-configured, and all of the state of charge and voltage is automatically communicated between the software in the battery and the Solar inverter. So this is a really big improvement from if you're just programming things kind of manually, typing in the float and absorb voltage. Everything is pre-programmed. So it's really enhancing the software capabilities between the lithium ferrophosphate cell that SimpliPhi has and the Solar inverter. So I'm going to go into each of these 5 solutions in detail, and then I'm also going to talk about what we have up next from Generac. Okay, just to do a little bit of overview, because this is a storage discussion, I have to talk a little bit about loads. So at this time, we are seeing more and more whole home backup capabilities. But if you want to do a smaller inverter and keep things more on the budget friendly side, I still think for a long time moving forward, we are going to see protected loads panels. So when you add batteries to your system, you often want to select the specific loads that those batteries are going to be powering during an outage. So here I've listed roughly from small to large, or from essential to a little more opulent loads that you would want backed up. So if we said, I definitely need my fridge, furnace fan, cell phone charger, and some lights, maybe we'll throw in a Wi-Fi, which is very low on the wattage scale. We would be looking at 1600 watts of power need, which would be 6.7 amps if we're looking at a 240 volt. But realistically, if we look at a fridge, a fan, charger, and lights, likely these are all 120 volt loads, single phase loads. So we could maybe get away with a single phase inverter because this is quite modest. You know, less than 2 kilowatts of power is pretty small. So we would need a 2 kilowatt inverter roughly to take care of all of these loads, and then the battery bank based on the duration. So ideally, the first question is, what are the loads we want backed up? And then how long do we want them to be running on battery power? So if you say, oh, my outages only last 5 hours, we may be looking at 5 hours. But if your outages are lasting 3 to 4 days, you may want a battery bank to provide duration of that time. So those are the 2 biggest kind of numbers I'd like to identify: the power need of the total loads and the energy need of how long those loads are running. So if we keep going, okay, I might need to add a well pump, which is pretty essential if you want to be getting water. And then some more lights that kicks us up to 11.5 amps, still in the single inverter range, 2.7 kilowatts, reasonable. And then if we go down the line, add a TV, microwave, coffee pot, the, washing machines, washing dryers, dishwashers, these can kind of, really crank up the needs for more power. So then if we're looking at 5.5 watts, still a single inverter could be capable of this. But when we start adding an air conditioner, definitely if you're looking at an EV charger, different types of EV chargers, we may want to add multiple inverters. So kind of that's what we're looking at. Often inverters have different amp sizes based on like what their either peak output is or continuous output. So you would want to evaluate what's the continuous output my loads need and what's the peak amount, and pair your inverter amps accordingly. And I do want to mention that this is something that I can certainly assist with, or our account managers can assist with. So if everything I'm saying seems like a little bit like something you've never thought about before, or something that seems intimidating to talk about with customers, I'm happy to kind of have this discussion with anyone that would need it. 23 amps common output for a single inverter, 33 amps. Also, 69 amps would be if we stacked multiple inverters. So we're capable of achieving, in this case, up to the air conditioner on all of the solutions that we have so far. So we want to identify what are the loads and how long are they going to be running for, because that really is important to sizing the battery bank specifically. Is there surge? Surge is sometimes hard to identify, particularly if you're looking at some sort of load and the data sheet is not very detailed, or you're looking at a manufacturer's site and it's just not obvious what the wattage or like the peak amperage is. Often, typically it's for pumps and motors. Normal appliances are going to be kind of at a steady state the majority of the time. Something too that you can do to identify if you have loads with surge is to get an energy meter. They're not very expensive, and you can stick that on your service panel, and it can identify what your loads are, how they're behaving based on kind of their load profiles. So you can see exactly how much your appliances are drawing in order to make a more informed decision on exactly how much are my home appliances using, so I know how big to select my inverter or battery bank. Okay, into the brands. So I want to talk about Enphase storage. We really like Enphase microinverters, and our customers really like Enphase microinverters. So that's why we are so excited about the full kit and caboodle from Enphase storage. So they are tried and true as a microinverter manufacturer. Their failure rate is exceptionally low, particularly on their IQ product line. Really have dialed in on making sure that their equipment is super solid and it's not going to be breaking. So something that you may not know is that this is actually Enphase's third version of a battery. The ACB, they call it the AC battery. The first two models were self-consumption only, so pretty niche market if you're installing a battery but not using it for backup needs. But that being said, they've gone through the technology. This is their third iteration. They've kind of straightened everything out so that this is really performing to the best of their customers' needs. And we've been shipping this since mid-July, and the people who install it have had really great success. So I definitely want to encourage anyone who has not gotten a training from their Enphase rep, we can absolutely schedule that because the solution is really phenomenal. So let's talk about sizing. The smallest unit is a 3 kilowatt hour unit, and then you can scale all the way up to 40 kilowatt hours on a single switch. So very flexible. If someone, let's say, just needs to back up their CPAP machine or an oxygen machine, you could get away with one Encharge 3. And then if you say, I want my whole house backed up, great, we could do 40 kilowatt hours. That being said, if you have 2 load panels and you want more, we could add an additional smart switch and go beyond 40 kilowatt hours. If you are looking at 4 kilowatt hours of energy, that is equivalent to a 15 kilowatt output. So the interesting thing with adding units for Enphase is that as you add energy storage, you're also adding power. Because typically if you have a single string inverter or a single string hybrid inverter, you can add battery capacity, which really just enables duration, but it would not add more power. In this case, because each unit has a microinverter and a battery, every time you add more storage, you also add more power. So it's really scalable in that regard, that you can add power and energy kind of incrementally together. This is an outdoor rated solution, which is really helpful for design flexibility. And now you can add M series integration. So if you formerly had said, oh, how can I go to my old clients that want to retrofit? Great. The firmware update is in the Enlighten tool, or at least the firmware should be in your Enlighten tool in the next few days. I highly suggest watching the on-demand webinar or reading the technical brief from Enphase regarding M series integration. But this is a really great feature that they've enabled. Generator integration is physically capable on the existing smart switch, but the firmware should be available shortly.
I'll find a link here too for the training too, so you guys can check that out.
Great. Yeah, Enphase has oodles of on-demand webinars, and the on-demand trainings are a little different. They're kind of like mini installation trainings, if you will. And so I've watched a few of those and I find them very helpful. They're relatively technical, but they're short because they're for a specific, like the M series integration is one specific thing that you're going to talk about. So they're short and intense in a great way. And then the final thing I want to talk about for each of our solutions is kind of a warranty or performance guarantee, because something that people have often kind of asked about, particularly when it comes to lithium options, is, well, what's the cycle life? Because cycle life and depth of discharge is something that we often discussed with lead acid batteries. But now, because the discharging is so much more kind of volatile, you may be using like a little bit every night for self-consumption, but then you may be discharging a lot more with a lot higher depth of discharge if you have an outage. I really like to talk about warranties in terms of megawatt hours. That's really the usage you're going to be putting these batteries through. So for a single Encharge 10, we're looking at 28 megawatt hours of throughput for battery degradation in the battery warranty. So I just want to use megawatt hours moving forward for lithium specifically, because it's a more holistic approach to the usage of a battery.
And in regards to, sorry, Madam, before I hit Sonnen, in regards to sizing for Enphase, we do have a webinar December 16th. As you know, Madeline, they've been diligently trying to roll out their live version of their estimator tool. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the chat box there. That'll just go over a preview of it even before it's live. So they're working hard. We'll ping you guys when that's up and ready, but that's something to look forward to as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jamie. Yeah, we have a lot of partner webinars that are between us and Enphase or us and our other brands. So always keep an eye out, particularly on our social media. I know Jamie is great about kind of blasting social media with those different updates. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. So Sonnen Core, this is their newest product that they launched in mid-November. And Sonnen is really a tried and true solution when it comes to residential energy storage. Residential energy storage is their bread and butter because that's really all they do. And they're really, really good at it. They understand the product and they understand kind of what features their customers need. And they're really bankable because they were acquired by Shell. So really good to know that kind of a oil and gas company is diversifying with Sonnen. So really excited by that pairing. And let's talk about the core. So this is, again, sticking with their original technology as an AC coupled. They have their own inverter, their own in-house designed inverter in the Sonnen core. When in the Ecos, that was an Outback product that they had been reprogramming with Sonnen software. So now we have a fully loaded Sonnen solution. The inverter is 4.8 continuous kilowatts and up to 8.6 kilowatts of surge. So you can double the output for a short amount of time for surge. And despite the fact that it's only 4.8 kilowatts of continuous output, you can pair up to 6 kilowatts of grid tie PV. So if you have microinverters or DC optimizers up to 6 kilowatts, you can easily pair a single Sonnen core with that solution on your home service panel. And in this case, because it's a 4.8 kilowatt hour output, I would recommend a critical load panel that's specific for approximately 4.8 kilowatts worth of loads. And it's really skinny. It's only 11 inches deep. So there is a great installer video that if you just Google Sonnen core installation, it's on their webpage, and it can be assembled really easily by only 1 or 2 people. So it's coming in the 2 batteries are kind of separate from the enclosure. So it's much easier to manage from a physical standpoint than say the core, or excuse me, the Eco or the IncoLinks, because those are very large. And then the homeowner MSRP is $9,500. So as an installer, you would be able to purchase it at a rate lower than that. So it's really very competitive for a 4.8 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt hour solution for maximum $9,500. Again, this is an indoor installation. There's no screen and there's no generator integration. So it's a little bit pared back compared to the Eco, which you can get with a screen in some models and can pair with a generator. But again, in most cases, if you're putting this in your garage and kind of setting it and forgetting it, and of course you can review any performance on your app, the Sonnen app. This is a really sleek, simple, and affordable option. So if we look at this performance guarantee with 58 megawatt hours, we're really getting a good bang for the buck in terms of cost and warranted megawatt hour throughput on the batteries. So we should have this in stock hopefully by the end of January, if not the beginning of February of next year. So ask your account manager for a quote. Let's get some pre-orders in because we are really excited about this new product line. Solarc. So Solarc has been around for a few years, but Solarc is new to Soligent. So in the past, people were able to order Solarc through SimpliPhi in our access units, but now we have Solarc as an individual brand. So you can order a 12 kilowatt unit by itself from Soligent. So this, similar to the Outback Skybox, but a little bit kind of beefed up. It really is an all-in-one option. It's AC or DC coupled as a solution in a single box. And I think in many cases, Solarc encourages installations from a DC coupled perspective because it is more efficient to charge the battery in a DC coupled configuration, and you can pair more PV. In many cases, depending on the configuration, the maximum amount of paired PV is 16 kilowatts. Depending on how you're kind of facing the arrays on the 2 MPPTs, often it's a little bit less, but really on a single inverter, 16.5 kilowatts is definitely the most that we have for a single solution, particularly a single hybrid solution. And something else that's hugely beneficial to the Solarc solution is that it's scalable, it's stackable. So you can have up to, I think it's eight inverters for 120, 240, and it's 9 inverters because you have to pair them in threes for the 3-phase for 120, 208. So, if you're looking at sort of a McMansion or a ranch, many people have single phase ranches that are really large in power needs. Solarc is really easy to stack. You just daisy chain one to the next using this existing wiring box. So they really make things simple by having a single SKU solution. It's an outdoor rated option. All of the POs that we have out to Solarc or for outdoor rated models. And generator integration, is capable with these units. So really, really excited about all of the Solarc capabilities.
A question for Solarc too, from Jeff. He's saying how many batteries are needed for each option of Solarc?
So the number of batteries is a really interesting question because in terms of maximum with SimpliPhi, the SimpliPhi, let's say, there is no maximum. You can parallel them kind of as many as you would need. A typical rule of thumb often is you would double the kilowatts to get the kilowatt hours of your battery bank. So because this is a relatively large unit, we would look at a 12 kilowatt output with 24 kilowatt hours of a battery bank. So the concern previously that I've had with undersizing battery banks is that if you have a large inverter, in this case, the 12 kilowatt model, and you have, let's just say, only like 3 or 4 kilowatt hours of batteries, if all of your loads, even if your loads paired with this inverter were really, really small, the inverter has the ability to draw all of the power out of those batteries in a really short amount of time. So the key is to balance the battery draw, the discharge rate, with the inverter power size. So it's important to select an inverter based on the loads pretty closely so that your battery bank can also be sized appropriately. So let's go to a different scenario. If you have, let's say, 4 kilowatts of loads on a 4 kilowatt inverter, I would say rule of thumb would be an 8 kilowatt hour battery bank. And again, this is sort of just like an offhand number. The best way is to be sizing using a sort of sizing tool. And the sizing tool could really be as simple as adding up all of the loads in kilowatts and then multiplying that by how much time they're going to be running each. So the thing that is a little bit challenging and sometimes cumbersome is that battery bank sizing is custom. You really need to do it based on the needs of each consumer, because this isn't a one size fits all. If you try to do this like a one size fits all, someone may be, let's say you're like running your microwave all day long. That's going to zap your battery bank really quickly. And if someone says, hey, I ran my microwave, but you didn't tell me I couldn't run my microwave, identifying an estimated time on these loads is paramount to understanding that. So I would say rule of thumb would be double the kilowatts to get the kilowatt hours, but it's really better to be doing this on a system by system basis. Jamie, any other solar related questions?
No, excellent. Thank you, Madeline.
Okay, great. And I guess I should just pause after each brand so that we can kind of talk about that. Okay, so I want to specifically discuss the amplify battery from SimpliPhi as it pertains to SolarEdge. So this product on the right here is an Access outdoor enclosure from SimpliPhi. So the SimpliPhi Access is an all-in-one solution that SimpliPhi pre-wires with the SolarEdge inverter and the communications from the amplify batteries. So what are we looking at here? We have the inverter mounted up top, wired in. So here, this is actually a really nice picture because you can see everything that's going on. We have our red battery cable paired with our bus bars tied in to the solar converter right here. We have our black battery cable tied into the black bus bars to the black input here. Then we have the battery to battery communications with these white daisy chains. These are white communication cables. Then we have our overall bank communications using the yellow cable from the final battery into the inverter. So pretty straightforward. Then this over here is our BOSS cabinet. The BOSS 6 or the BOSS 12 are essentially just battery enclosures only. So here we're using essentially the BOSS 12 as a 6 battery plus inverter enclosure. But if you want more than 6 batteries in your solution, you can wire yourself an Access 12 with between 0, 1, and 12 batteries, and then you could install your solar converter separate. Here is the BOSS 6, and then here again is just an example of the different bus bars and the comms pairing together. So the Amplify product is similar to the Phi, and the Phi is just our standard 3.8 kilowatt hour solution. But with the Amplify, the set points are auto-populated. I did mention this before, but this is really a key feature. They're auto-populated when you plug it in. So no guesswork when it comes to commissioning. with the standard Phi, because the comms are a little less robust, you can parallel kind of to infinity. Here, we have a 30 unit max because of the maximum length of the Cat5 communication cables. So we are limited to 114 kilowatt hours, which for most standard residential systems, 114 kilowatt hours is plenty. So that really shouldn't be an upper limit that most people are facing. The information that's automatically being communicated between the battery and the inverter is the state of charge of the battery, the voltage, and the charge and discharge rates. And this is just really helpful to understanding the health of the battery and how everything's working together. So you don't need to add any additional shunts or temperature sensors or anything like that. All of this is pre-configured. And then another kind of safety feature, if you will, is that the battery will open the circuit if a temperature limit is reached. So I know that people have mentioned, oh, really hot temperatures, how is the performance going to change? Or, oh, my battery is at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Is it going to be damaged if you charge or discharge? The battery is smart enough to turn itself off if it thinks an unsafe circumstance is coming. So that's a really great feature. These batteries are outdoor rated when installed in the outdoor rated enclosure. Again, since our solar is generator integrated, you know, the battery doesn't really care if a generator is integrated. The battery is just a DC source, just going to provide power when someone tells it to provide power. It's really the inverter and the brains in the inverter that cares about what kind of power am I getting? Is it quote unquote clean power? Like for AC, is the frequency in a good range? Like the inverter is really the one making all these decisions. The battery is just saying, charge me or discharge me. SimpliPhi has lots of different tools on their website. So if you want to go to a battery sizing estimator, this hyperlink, when we send the deck out, will navigate you to SimpliPhi's website. I'm going to pause, Jamie, for any SimpliPhi or amplify, SimpliPhi, solar, all the above.
Yeah. No, I think you're good to go. Okay. No, you're all set.
Right. All right, solar. So this is going to be our last discussion for stuff you can buy now, and then we're going to talk about the new Generac options. So SolarEdge and the Energy Hub. We're kind of calling the SolarEdge storage solution as the Energy Hub solution. And I really like this schematic that they're including, so we can kind of go equipment by equipment. Okay. You have your PV on the roof with your power optimizers, standard for SolarEdge. Then we have our, again, how I mentioned it, the SolarEdge inverter with HD wave technology, also known as the Energy Hub. That's our new inverter. This is where you're going to be pairing the battery. And right now, the battery option is LG Chem. In the future, at some time, it will be the SolarEdge battery. And also, I like that we have the DC power indicated in blue and then the AC power indicated in red. That's just a nice little feature. So, output from the inverter to your backup interface. This is similar to the smart switch from Enphase. It's kind of your grid forming inverter accessory. So, this is where all of the different AC sources are going to land. If you need a generator, the firmware will be released soon. Then we have the loads to your home, of course. And SolarEdge is cool in the sense that they have these like smart load devices that you can add to your system. They have an EV charger. I think the smart loads, they have these plugs as well as the hot water. So they have cool kind of load deflection technology, which is unique to them. And then you can kind of see how everything is working together through your SolarEdge monitoring platform. So something that SolarEdge likes to talk about as a DC coupled solution is prioritizing efficiency. Because you're going straight from the PV power optimizers to the battery through the DC, the system efficiency is improved. So we're at 90.8 overall system efficiency. Then for our inverters specifically, we have our Energy Hub inverter that is an outdoor rated solution with consumption monitoring. Great, makes it easy. The models come in, I think I'm going to get this right, 3, 3.8, 5, 6, and 7.6. So you still have your like standard suite of HD wave inverter sizes. Now they're just all SolarEdge capable. So we have from 3 to 7.6 kilowatts of hybrid inverter ability, and you can scale between 1 and 3 inverters on your backup interface. So if you want to go up to 3, so the one thing I'm still working out in terms of understanding is that I believe if you do 3 inverters, you're going to get up to almost 18 kilowatts of output. But if you have a generator integration, it may be limited to 15 kilowatts of power. So kind of still trying to understand what the maximum power output associated with the backup interface is. But if you're doing multiple batteries, you have up to 60 kilowatt hours worth of battery energy. So then our backup interface is also outdoor rated. So you can mount all of these in the exterior, 3 inverter units, great. And then the generator integration, again, the firmware should be launched soon next year. So this really isn't that much of a change to your existing SolarEdge solution, except that now you have the backup interface that acts as your autoformer, and your CTs are already included. So some of the accessories you formerly had to buy with your SolarEdge are all integrated now into either the backup interface or the HD Wave SolarEdge / Energy Hub inverter. So things are really getting more streamlined from SolarEdge. Really nice DC coupled solution. Any questions? Okay. Jamie, thank you for managing the questions. I appreciate it. Okay. Last but not least, I want to talk about some of the accessories that Generac has had this past year and then the new stuff coming up. So earlier this year, I want to say probably in September, the auto transfer switch and the smart management module were launched. This is the auto transfer switch. It's specifically a power cell auto transfer switch. So this enables whole home backup without the need for a critical load panel. And by adding this auto transfer switch, if you have a single inverter and you're putting it on your whole house, it's possible sometimes that your large loads, meaning dishwasher, washer, dryer, kind of those heavier appliances, if they're all running at once, can put some strain on your inverter. You can add these smart management modules, which enable load shedding. So if the inverter is recognizing, oh, a little too much is going on right now, it can use these smart management modules to shut off the larger loads. So by enabling whole home backup, you can kind of safeguard the performance by adding these load shedding devices. The outdoor rated cabinet is available, but here's the catch. The outdoor rated battery modules are still yet to come. So if you install your outdoor rated battery cabinet now, that's okay, but you have to wait until we have the EX batteries to put in there. So the EX batteries will be an outdoor and indoor rated battery, and those should be available hopefully in the spring. Again, the generator integration firmware should also be available in the short future. So once the generator integration and these outdoor batteries come, this will be just another kind of full solution DC coupled option that Generac has. So really kind of comparable to, I mean, I don't even want to say comparable. Everything kind of has their own nuances, but Generac and SolarEdge are both of our kind of all-in-one DC coupled options. And I think that's it. I will wait if there's any kind of storage in general related questions that you guys have. And another thing too is if there are other kind of questions or topics that I haven't addressed in a webinar before, I'm always open kind of, at least for the next few months, kind of what, other than talking about the solutions that we have coming out, answering your questions on these webinars is really a great resource for me. So let me know if you have any kind of things you're looking for me to discuss.